Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So a 24% decrease, yes, a decrease is on the horizon for all Social Security beneficiaries. We're going to be going over why and some potential changes to fix this issue. Plus, the Supreme Court just agreed to take up the Trump's case where he was taken off 2 ballots in Colorado and Maine. This is going to be a make or break case for Trump, so we'll be covering that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive $60 or more in free stocks or $60 or more in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you got to do is once you click on that link, it's just open up a free account and then deposit at least 1 penny. At that point, they will be sending you 20 free stocks. Each stock is going to be worth at least $3. And again, if you don't want to invest at this point in time, all you have to do is just sell those stocks for what they're worth and then transfer the $60 or more right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our lead story for today, we actually have a new poll from Gallup. And it kind of goes along with like the American satisfaction with our so-called democracy. And this word democracy has been thrown around a lot since Trump was in office. We had Democrats coming out and saying that Trump is a threat to democracy. We have Republicans now coming out and saying that Biden is actually the true threat to democracy. And overall, the satisfaction with democracy in this country has been going down over the past 5, 8, 10 years or so. And Gallup kind of confirms this, as right now a record low in U.S. satisfied with the way democracy is working. So according to this article, a new low of 28% of U.S. adults are satisfied with the way democracy is working in the country. The current figure is down from the prior low, 35%, measured shortly after the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol by rioters trying to prevent Congress from certifying Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 presidential election. And you can see here that over time, since 1984, where we actually had the high, at least compared to now, at 61% of Americans satisfied with the democracy, and today, just 28% of Americans are satisfied with the democracy. You can see that line slowly going down over time. This is not a recent event. And here we, among Republicans versus Independents versus Democrats, we can see back in 1984, Republicans were higher than Democrats, close to 80% being satisfied with democracy. But that all changed kind of like in the 2000s, where Republicans went down lower than Democrats, and right now they are at a record low at 17%. Democrats are also at a record low, but they are obviously much higher than Republicans. So it doesn't matter whether it's Republicans, doesn't matter whether it's Democrats, both sides are very unsatisfied with democracy. And right now, Republicans, much more than Democrats, are unsatisfied with democracy. Now, another area of unsatisfaction perhaps is Social Security. And, you know, a lot of people are not happy with the cost of living adjustments that they've been receiving over the past, few years, even though they've been higher than ever, like 8.7% last year, for example. Even though 8.7% is a high number, inflation obviously was much higher than 8.7% in many areas. And a lot of people are finding themselves further and further behind. The system is just not working. And actually, we have even worse news than that, because we have numerous reports coming out, one by these Social Security trustees, that say like within the next 8 to 10 years, if nothing is done to solve this problem, if congressional lawmakers don't do anything about it, and let's face it, usually our members of Congress don't really do much in Washington, there's going to be a cut in benefits of anywhere between 20 to 25%. That's because the money that's coming into the trust fund is not going to be enough in there to pay out 100% of the benefits. And so because of that, they're going to have to cut everyone's benefits by a whopping up to 25%. And we can see this tweet here by Senator Bill Cassidy. He's a Republican in Louisiana. He says, failing to address Social Security is endorsing a 24% cut to Social Security benefits. That is unacceptable. And I completely agree with him. Now, he actually has a plan out there that's, I guess, bipartisan. Well, he's trying to work with members on both sides of the aisle, because let's face it, for any bill to pass Congress in today's age, it definitely needs to be bipartisan. They need to have Republicans on board with it, and they need to have Democrats on board with it. Because in the House, they need to just have a simple majority, so at least 218 votes. But in the Senate, it's much more difficult because they need 60 votes in the Senate. So that requires both Republicans and Democrats working together to pass any sort of bill. So according to Semaphore, this is what Bill Cassidy's current plan includes, and is a bipartisan plan. So a bipartisan group led by Senators Angus King, Bill Cassidy is considering gradually raising the retirement age to about 70 as part of their legislation to overhaul Social Security. Other options on the table include changing the existing formula that calculates monthly benefits from one based on a worker's average earnings over 35 years to a different formula that's based instead on the number of the years spent working and paying into Social Security. The plan also includes a proposed sovereign wealth fund that could be seeded with $1.5 trillion or more and borrow money to jumpstart stock investments, the people said. If it fails to generate an 8% return, both the maximum taxable income and the payroll tax rate would be increased to ensure Social Security stays on track to be solvent for another 75 years. So different options on the table there. Obviously, it's not yet in the form of a bill, but basically they would have a formula to calculate benefits where it goes mostly on the amount of years that you work rather than how much you're paying into the system during your working years. And then the big thing in that is they would be borrowing $1.5 trillion, investing that into stocks, real estate, things like that, and then hoping for an 8% return. So, right now we obviously have some problems with that idea because they mentioned there that they might raise the full retirement age up to 70 from where it is now at 67. The problem with that is it's going to be very difficult for most Democrats to agree with that. That might be a non-starter for Democrats. And they also mentioned there that there might be a possibility of raising taxes where you might have to pay more into the system during your working years. And obviously that might be a problem with Republicans. So this idea right now might just be a non-starter for both Republicans and Democrats. And of course, we have different bills out there. We have one by Bernie Sanders that would fix the solvency issue. We have a plan by John Larson that would fix the solvency issue. Both of these would also increase benefits as well. So you might think their plans are great. The problem is in their plans is they would also be significantly raising taxes, which probably or more than likely is going to be a non-starter for Republicans. And if you look at the ones who support this bill, only Democrats support their bills at this point in time, not a single Republican. So this is definitely an issue that needs to be fixed and one in the 2024 election, which is definitely going to be a critical issue. Now, another critical issue coming up, of course, is the whole ban on Trump being in different states' elections. So recently we had Colorado kicking Trump off their ballot. Then we had Maine kicking Trump off their ballot. We have several other states seeking to do the same. And now the Supreme Court is finally going to take up the case in Colorado, where they're going to, decide whether or not Colorado has the right to kick Trump off the ballot. So according to The Hill, the Supreme Court agreed to take up whether former President Trump can be disqualified from appearing on Colorado's ballot over his actions surrounding the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack, setting up a historic case that could upend the presidential election. The justice's order sets the case up to be heard at a speedy pace, with oral arguments scheduled for February 8th and a decision to follow that could spark Trump's removal from the ballot in states across the country. So obviously this is going to be huge right now. Once again, so far only Colorado and Maine have kicked him off the ballot. And obviously when Trump was president, he appointed 3 of the justices. So I would expect if you're if you're Trump here, you're definitely expecting the 3 justices that you appointed to rule with you. Now, it's certainly possible they might rule against him because they don't want to seem like they are biased in some sort of way, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. The conservative justices are definitely, you would think they might be in Trump's corner, but again, there are no guarantees here. And if for whatever reason they decide to uphold the decisions that were made in Colorado and Maine, and then we have other states that are soon to follow, that pretty much is going to make it very difficult for Trump to win either the Republican nomination and very difficult to defeat Joe Biden if he does end up being the Republican nominee. But let me know what your thoughts and comments are below on everything that we talked about in today's video. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.